The unexpected gift. Captain Ryan Jackson had seen many strange things during his years as a human explorer, but nothing could prepare him for what happened on the planet Zakaros. It all began with a strange message from the Alien King, a powerful leader of a species the humans had barely begun to understand. Ryan stood in the control room of his ship, staring at the blinking light on the console. It was a signal, a message sent directly to him. His crew was scattered around the room, busy with their own tasks, but Ryan felt the weight of the moment. He pressed a button to play the message. Captain Ryan Jackson, the voice of the Alien King echoed in his ears. It was deep, almost like a growl, and filled with authority. You have proven yourself in the galaxy. I, King Thurl, have a gift for you. Prepare yourself. Ryan frowned, feeling uneasy. A gift from an alien king. He had heard stories about the powerful species in the galaxy, but this felt different. Before he could respond, the transmission ended. The room fell silent. His crew looked at him with confused expressions. Ryan had been in contact with alien races before, but they never gave gifts. Gifts from leaders usually came with a price. What do you think this is about? His communications officer, Sergeant Lee, asked, raising an eyebrow. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. I don't know, but it doesn't feel right. He glanced back at the message, replaying it in his mind. Prepare yourself, the Alien King had said, but prepare for what? Minutes later, Ryan received another message. This time, it was brief and to the point. The gift has arrived. It is waiting for you on the surface of Zakaros. Ryan hesitated for a moment. They were currently orbiting Zakaros, an uncharted planet in the farthest corner of the galaxy. No human had set foot there. It was surrounded by dangerous asteroids and unstable energy fields, but Ryan had always been known for taking risks. Set course for Zakaros, he ordered. His crew quickly moved into action, preparing the ship for descent. The journey down to the surface was nerve-wracking. The ship shook as it passed through the atmosphere, and Ryan kept his eyes glued to the control panels, watching for any sign of trouble. The planet's surface was a vast desert, filled with jagged rocks and strange, glowing plants that looked almost alive. Ryan's ship touched down, its engines humming as the dust settled around it. The doors opened with a hiss, and Ryan stepped out, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. He had never felt more exposed. The air was thin and dry, and the sun beat down from an orange sky. He looked around, scanning the barren landscape. His eyes finally landed on a strange object in the distance, a large metallic box, shimmering faintly in the sunlight. It stood alone, as if waiting for him. Ryan walked toward it cautiously, every step echoing in the silence of the desert. As he approached, he saw strange markings etched into the surface of the box, symbols he didn't recognize, yet they seemed familiar, almost as if they were calling to him. He knelt in front of the box, unsure of what to do next. He had been in dangerous situations before, but this was different. This was no ordinary gift. There was something about this box that sent a chill down his spine. Taking a deep breath, Ryan reached for the latch on the side of the box. It was cold to the touch, and when he pressed it, the box opened with a soft hiss. Inside, he found a small alien girl, no more than 5 feet tall. She was curled up, her eyes closed, as if she was sleeping. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. He had expected something, but not this. The girl's skin was a deep shade of purple, with delicate patterns glowing faintly along her arms and legs. Her hair, long and silver, shimmered like liquid starlight. What in the world? Ryan whispered. He quickly checked for any signs of life-threatening injuries, but there were none. The girl appeared to be in a deep sleep, her chest rising and falling slowly with each breath. Captain, what is it? Sergeant Lee's voice crackled through his comm. Ryan couldn't take his eyes off the girl. He felt a strange connection to her, as if she was meant for him to protect. But why would the Alien King send a girl like this as a gift? I'm not sure yet, Ryan replied, his voice tight. But we need to get her back to the ship. The return journey was uneventful, but Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The girl remained unconscious, her delicate features serene, but her presence seemed to radiate an energy he couldn't quite understand. The strange markings on the box, the feeling of being watched, it all weighed heavily on his mind. Once back aboard the ship, Ryan and his crew carefully placed the girl in a secure room. They took samples, checked for any signs of alien technology, but nothing came up. It was as if she had simply appeared out of nowhere. Hours passed, and Ryan sat in his quarters, staring out at the stars. He couldn't focus. The alien king had said it was a gift, but what did it mean? Why was this alien girl so important? And what did he have to do with it? As he mulled over the mystery, a new message came through, this time from the alien king himself. "Captain Jackson," the voice said, calm and cold. "The gift is not just a symbol of my gratitude. She is more than you know. And her arrival will change the fate of both our worlds." Ryan's stomach dropped. He had only just begun to understand that the true story was only beginning. The mystery of the girl was far deeper than he could have imagined, and the alien king's words haunted him. Ryan leaned back in his chair. One thing was clear: the gift he had received was no simple token of gratitude. It was the key to something much larger, something that could change everything. But what exactly? That was the question that would haunt him as he ventured deeper into the unknown. The slave girl's arrival. Ryan sat in the command chair, staring at the holographic map of Zakaros. The planet was strange, half desert, half jungle, with skies that were a deep purple. No other human had set foot there, and the thought of meeting the alien king's mysterious gift made his skin crawl. He had no idea what to expect, but the warning signals in his gut told him something was wrong. "Captain," Sergeant Lee spoke up, pulling Ryan from his thoughts. "We're approaching the coordinates." Ryan stood up, his boots thudding on the metal floor as he gave the order to land. The ship descended slowly through the thick atmosphere of Zakaros, its landing gear touching down with a low hiss. The air outside was heavy with the scent of alien flowers and the buzz of unknown creatures. Ryan and a small team of soldiers suited up and exited the ship. As they walked toward the designated location, a strange chill crawled up Ryan's spine. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The jungle around them felt alive, like something was just out of sight, waiting. They reached a small clearing, where a strange metallic box sat in the center. The box was unlike anything Ryan had seen before, smooth, dark, and humming with an eerie, faint glow. It looked almost organic, like it had grown there instead of being placed. Ryan stepped forward cautiously, his hand hovering over the box. He had expected something grand, maybe an artifact or a powerful weapon, but this was a mystery. He kneeled and slowly opened the lid. Inside the box was a girl. At first glance, Ryan thought she might be human, but as he looked closer, he realized she was not. Her skin was a pale lavender, her eyes glowed with a faint gold hue, and her long silvery hair shimmered in the dim light. She was curled up, unconscious, but breathing. "She's alive?" Sergeant Lee asked, his voice full of disbelief. Ryan nodded, still stunned. The girl looked young, too young to be an alien queen, but something about her presence was undeniable. She radiated power, even in her unconscious state. Her features were delicate but sharp, like they had been carved by an artist who wanted to show beauty, but also strength. Ryan's mind raced. Why would the alien king send this girl as a gift? And why in a box? The more he looked at her, the more unsettled he became. This was no ordinary gift. No, this was something much more complicated. "She doesn't look like a gift," Ryan muttered. "She looks like she's been treated like something else." He glanced at his team. "Get her back to the ship. Now." The soldiers moved quickly, lifting the girl with care. As they made their way back to the ship, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. But if it was a trap, who was it for? The girl or him? Once aboard the ship, the girl was placed in the medical bay. Ryan stood outside the door, pacing. He had so many questions, but no answers. Why had the alien king given her to him? Was she a prisoner? A slave? Or was she something much more important, something that would change the fate of humanity? The ship hummed softly as it lifted off from the surface of Zerkaros. Ryan stood at the observation window, watching the planet fade into the distance. He needed to think. He needed to prepare for whatever came next. But as the ship moved deeper into space, something unexpected happened. The girl in the medical bay began to stir. Ryan froze. He watched through the glass as the girl's fingers twitched, then slowly her eyes opened. They glowed brighter than before, as if they were drawing in the light around her. Ryan's heart raced. She wasn't just waking up, she was aware of her surroundings. She was aware of him. And then, in a soft, melodic voice, she spoke. "Who are you?" Ryan's breath caught in his throat. He had no idea how to answer, but before he could respond, the girl's eyes fixed on him with a gaze that seemed to pierce through him, as if she could read every thought he had. "I'm not your enemy," Ryan finally managed to say, his voice uncertain. The girl said nothing, but the strange, glowing light in her eyes deepened, and as Ryan turned to leave the medical bay, he felt an odd sense of dread. What was she, and why had the alien king sent her to him? The more Ryan thought about it, the more he realized this was only the beginning. Whatever this was, it would change everything. Alien politics unraveled. Ryan stepped back in shock, his breath catching in his throat. The alien girl inside the box stirred, her golden eyes blinking open. She looked up at him with a mixture of fear and confusion, as though she were just waking from a long sleep. Her lavender skin shimmered faintly under the light, and the way she moved, graceful yet cautious, only added to the mystery. "Are you okay?" Ryan asked, though his voice felt strange, uncertain. He didn't know if he was talking to the girl or to himself. This entire situation was beyond anything he had experienced before. The girl didn't answer. Instead, she slowly sat up, her limbs delicate and slender, like they could break with the slightest touch. She looked around, as if trying to make sense of where she was, and then her gaze fixed on Ryan. Her eyes narrowed, almost as if she were assessing him. Ryan stood there, unsure of what to do next. This wasn't just an ordinary gift. The alien king Thurl had sent this girl as a token of gratitude. But what was she grateful for? Why would an alien king send such a fragile, confused being to him, a human explorer? As if sensing his thoughts, the girl spoke, her voice soft and foreign. "I am not a gift," she said, her accent heavy but clear. "I am a symbol, a reminder." Ryan's mind raced. A symbol of what? He opened his mouth to ask, but before he could speak, a deep, thunderous voice boomed from behind them. "Don't trust her." Ryan whipped around to see a tall, imposing figure standing at the edge of the clearing. The figure was cloaked in dark armor, and its glowing red eyes locked onto Ryan. It was a member of the alien race known as the Zorathians, a species feared across the galaxy for their ruthless nature. This particular warrior had to be one of King Thurl's elite guards. "You are the one who would accept a gift without understanding its meaning." The Zorathian growled, taking a step forward. The weight of his presence was overwhelming. The girl flinched at the sound of the Zorathian's voice, her golden eyes flickering with fear. But she didn't back down. She remained sitting, her body still, like a cornered animal preparing for an attack. "Who are you?" Ryan demanded, his pulse quickening. "Why are you here?" The Zorathian's eyes narrowed. "I am Nutha, the shadow blade of Thurl. I am here to make sure you understand the gift you have been given. That girl is not a simple slave. She is a living weapon, a tool to control you." Ryan's chest tightened. He looked back at the girl, his mind spinning. The alien king had never mentioned this, but it made a twisted kind of sense. Why else would a powerful leader send a gift that wasn't just a person, but a weapon? The truth slowly began to sink in. "What do you mean?" Ryan asked, his voice steady despite the rising tension. What kind of weapon? The Zorathian stepped forward, his voice dropping into a whisper that sent shivers down Ryan's spine. She is a catalyst, a key to the Zorathian war machine. You may think she is fragile, but her very existence can trigger the destruction of worlds. The moment you bond with her, however innocently, that's when the trap is sprung. The girl looked up at Ryan, her expression unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes, regret maybe, or perhaps a warning. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, her gaze shifted to Nutha, and a flicker of recognition passed between them. Ryan felt the weight of his decisions pressing down on him. Was this gift really a curse in disguise? You don't understand. Nutha continued, his tone colder now. King Ferrell sent her to you because you're human. To him, you are nothing more than a pawn, a tool to shift the balance of power in this galaxy. If you accept her, if you let her into your life, you will become part of a war that has already begun. Ryan's mind raced. Alien politics were never simple. He had seen firsthand the ruthless nature of the galaxy's power struggles. But this felt different. The girl trembled slightly, as though hearing Nutha's words had taken something from her. I didn't choose this, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You think I am a weapon, but I am not. I was chosen because I have something inside me that they need, but I don't want this. I never asked for this. Ryan stood motionless, torn between the girl's pleading words and the harsh warning from Nutha. It was clear now that he wasn't just dealing with an alien gift, but with a tangled web of politics, power, and manipulation. Why didn't you warn me? Ryan asked Nutha, his voice steady despite the storm of confusion in his mind. The Zorathian's expression remained unchanged, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. Was it regret? It was never my choice to warn you, human, Nutha said, turning to leave. But now you know. The path you walk will not be easy. Be careful, for in your hands lies the fate of countless worlds. With that, Nutha disappeared back into the jungle, leaving Ryan and the girls standing in the clearing. Ryan took a deep breath, his mind still spinning. He had only come here for answers, but now it seemed the real questions had only just begun. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized that nothing at all, was as it seemed. The slave girl's secrets. Ryan's hand instinctively reached for the weapon at his side, but before he could draw it, the Zorathian spoke again, its voice colder than space itself. You do not know what you're dealing with, the figure warned, its voice low and filled with an unsettling authority. That girl is not what she seems. She is a pawn, a weapon, a key in a much larger game. Ryan tensed, trying to make sense of the situation. The girl, still sitting in the box, remained silent, her gaze now fixed on the Zorathian. There was something strange in her eyes. Defiance. It was as though she understood the alien's warning, but was prepared to challenge it. The Zorathian took a step forward, but the girl raised a hand, stopping him in his tracks. Do not speak of things you do not understand, she said, her voice now stronger, more confident. Ryan's heart raced. This was no ordinary girl. Whatever she was, she had power. And it wasn't just the kind of power that came from her alien physiology. There was something ancient about her presence, a force that made the air hum with energy. What are you? Ryan found himself asking, the question slipping out before he could stop it. The girl looked at him, her expression softening just slightly. I am a descendant of the Eldari, she said, her voice carrying a weight that seemed to echo through the clearing. We are the ancient race of Zakaros, the true rulers of this planet. Before the Zorathians arrived, before Farrell took control. Ryan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Eldari. He had never heard of them before. The history books of the Human Alliance didn't mention any race by that name, and yet here she was, claiming to be from an ancient civilization. The Zorathian growled, stepping closer, his eyes glowing brighter. You don't know what you're talking about. The Eldari are gone, eradicated by my people centuries ago. There's nothing left of them but dust. The girl stood up, her eyes narrowing as if she were ready to challenge the Zorathian. "You speak lies," she said quietly. "You do not know the truth. The Eldari still live in me." Ryan could see the tension rising between them, like a storm about to break. The Zorathian's hand twitched near the hilt of its weapon. The girl did not flinch. She was fearless, and her calm demeanor only made the situation more unnerving. "What do you mean the Eldari still live?" Ryan asked, trying to piece together the puzzle. He had to understand. Whatever was going on, it was much bigger than just a simple gift from an alien king. The girl turned her gaze to him, and for the first time, her expression softened. "I am the last of my kind," she said. "The Eldari were once the protectors of Zerkaros. We were the first to harness the power of the stars, the first to build the foundations of this galaxy. But we were betrayed, by Tharol, by the Zorathians. The power I carry within me is all that remains of my people." Ryan felt his mind spinning. He had thought this was a simple mission, a routine contact with an alien leader. But now it seemed as if he had stumbled into the middle of an ancient conflict, one that stretched across centuries. The Zorathian hissed, his red eyes flickering with anger. "You are wrong. The Eldari are nothing but a myth. Tharol controls Zerkaros now, and he will never let anyone challenge his rule, not even you." Ryan turned back to the girl, sensing the weight of her words. "Is that why Tharol sent you to me? As some sort of symbol, or perhaps a tool to be used?" The girl's eyes grew distant for a moment, as though she were remembering something painful. "Tharol believes he controls me," she said softly, "but he does not understand the power I possess. The power to awaken the true Eldari. The power to stop the Zorathians from taking what is ours." The realization hit Ryan like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just about a gift. This wasn't just about the alien king's gratitude. Tharol had sent her to Ryan because he had underestimated her, underestimated the power of the Eldari blood that flowed through her veins. Ryan took a step forward, his voice steady. "What do you need from me? How do I help you?" For the first time since their meeting, the girl smiled, a small, almost imperceptible curve of her lips. "You are not the one who will save me, Captain Ryan Jackson. You are the one who will help me awaken." Ryan had no idea what that meant, but he didn't have time to ask. The Zorathian's voice suddenly cut through the tension like a blade. "You are making a mistake," the Zorathian growled, taking another step forward. "You do not understand the forces you are meddling with. You have no idea what Tharol is capable of." Ryan could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He could walk away. He could leave Zerkaros and return to his ship, to the safety of the stars. But something told him he wasn't walking away from this. Not now. The girl's golden eyes met his, her expression fierce and determined. "Help me, Captain. Help me unlock the power within, and we can end this once and for all." Ryan nodded, though he wasn't sure what he was agreeing to. But one thing was certain, he was no longer just a simple explorer. He had just become part of a much larger story, one that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. A dangerous alliance. The Zorathian's red eyes glowed brighter as he advanced, his heavy boots crunching the alien grass beneath him. His hand rested on the hilt of a long, curved blade, a weapon designed to strike fear into even the bravest of soldiers. But the girl, still seated in the box, didn't flinch. If anything, she seemed more certain than ever. "You should listen to me, human," the Zorathian said, his voice dripping with menace. "The Eldari were wiped out centuries ago. There's nothing left of them but stories and ruins. She is a liar, a trap designed to pull you into the politics of Zerkaros, where you have no place." Ryan's grip tightened on his sidearm, but his instincts told him not to draw it. Not yet. There was something deeply unsettling about the Zorathian, but there was also something dangerous about the girl. She wasn't afraid of him. In fact, she was watching the alien as if she knew exactly what he was capable of. Ryan turned his attention back to the girl, trying to make sense of her cryptic words. "You said you're a descendant of the Eldari, but if your people are gone, why are you still here? And why is the alien king giving you to me?" The girl's golden eyes shimmered in the dim light of the clearing. "Tharol's gift is not just a token of gratitude," she said softly, her voice growing more intense with each word. "It is a test, a trial. He wants you to choose, to side with him or with what remains of my people." Ryan's mind spun. A test. What was Tharol asking him to do? And why was she so certain that his decision would matter in the grand scheme of things? Before he could respond, the Zorethian barked a harsh laugh. "A trial? You think you have a choice? Tharol's influence stretches across the galaxy. You cannot stop him, human. You are nothing more than a pawn in his game." Ryan glanced at the girl, then back at the Zorethian. The tension in the air was palpable. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. His duty as a human explorer, his loyalty to the Galactic Council, all of it was being questioned in that single moment. The girl's voice broke the silence. "You have no idea what Tharol truly wants. He does not seek peace. He does not seek alliance. He seeks to control the galaxy. And the key to that control is buried deep within Zakaros, within my bloodline." Ryan's mind reeled. Control the galaxy. What was she saying? The alien king had always been diplomatic in their communications, but this was something entirely different. The stakes were much higher than he had imagined. "And what do you want?" Ryan asked, looking at her closely. "Why should I trust you?" The girl's gaze softened. "Because I have nothing left to lose," she replied, her voice filled with a quiet sorrow. "My people are gone, and the Zorethians have taken everything. I want to see Zakaros free once more. And you have the power to help me do that, but only if you choose wisely." Ryan felt the weight of her words settle in his chest. He wasn't just caught between two alien factions. He was caught between the remnants of a forgotten civilization and a power-hungry king who had no qualms about burning entire worlds to achieve his goals. The Zorethian scoffed. "This girl is nothing but a tool. And you," he pointed a long, clawed finger at Ryan, "are a fool if you think you can change anything." Ryan didn't respond. He couldn't. His mind was racing, but for the first time in his career as an explorer, he felt completely out of his depth. He had come to Zakaros expecting a simple mission, but now he was standing at the edge of a galaxy-shaking conflict. "Listen to me carefully," the girl said, her voice steady but urgent. "Tharol's forces are already on their way. He knows we are here. And if you choose him, you'll be nothing more than a puppet, a servant to his will. But if you help me, if you help the last of the Eldari, we might have a chance to stop him." Ryan looked from the girl to the Zorathian, who was glaring at him with undisguised hatred. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "You'll need to make a choice," the girl continued, "sooner than you think." Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as he realized that he was standing on the precipice of something far larger than anything he had ever imagined. This wasn't just about him anymore. The fate of Zakaros, and perhaps the entire galaxy, rested on the choice he would make. "Fine," Ryan said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "I'll hear you out. But know this, if you're lying to me, I won't hesitate to put you down." The Zorethian let out a low growl. "You are a fool," it spat. "You will regret this." But the girl's gaze remained calm, even confident. "I don't think so, Captain," she said, standing up from the box. "You're not just a fool, you're the key to everything." The wind picked up, swirling through the clearing, and for the first time, Ryan felt as if the whole universe was watching him. The choice was his. But as he stood there, he realized one terrifying truth. Whatever path he chose, there would be no turning back. Betrayal from within. The Zorethian's laughter echoed through the clearing, harsh and mocking. "You think you have a choice in this," he sneered. "This is not your fight, human. You are nothing but a pawn in a game you can't even begin to understand." Ryan's heart pounded in his chest, but he refused to let the alien's words shake him. He knew one thing for certain: there was more at play here than he'd ever imagined. The girl, the mysterious Eldari descendant, wasn't just a symbol of power. She was the key to something far larger than either the Zorathians or the Alien King could have predicted. "I don't care about your games," Ryan said, his voice firm, "but I do care about her." He nodded toward the girl, who was now standing, her face a mask of calm determination. "And if Tharol's gift is a test, then I'll pass it. For her, and for the people who deserve to know the truth." The Zorathian's eyes narrowed, glowing brighter as he took a step forward. "You don't even know what you're dealing with," he hissed. "Tharol's plan is bigger than you, bigger than your entire species. You're too small, too insignificant to change anything." Ryan felt a sudden cold weight settle in his stomach. The Zorathian was right about one thing. He didn't understand the full scope of the situation. He had no idea how deep the Alien King's power ran, or what kind of war he was pulling him into. But one thing was clear: he couldn't back down now. "We'll see about that," Ryan muttered, turning toward the girl. "What do you need me to do?" The girl's gaze softened, as if she had been waiting for this moment. "Tharol may have sent me to test you, but the true test lies in your choices. The Zorathians have already made their move. They've betrayed my people, wiped us from the surface of Zekaros. But what they don't know is that we, Eldari, have one last weapon. And it is not a weapon of destruction," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "but of knowledge." Ryan stared at her, confused. "Knowledge? What do you mean?" "The Eldari didn't just rule with power. They ruled with wisdom," she explained. "For centuries we held the secrets of Zekaros, secrets that could change the course of history. Tharol wants that knowledge, but the Zorathians want it for themselves, and they will stop at nothing to get it." As she spoke, Ryan felt a cold rush of understanding. The stakes weren't just about power or survival. This was about control of the galaxy itself. The knowledge the Eldari held could reshape the balance of power among every species in the known universe. The Zorathians knew it, Tharol knew it, and now Ryan was tangled up in it whether he liked it or not. Before he could respond, a sharp sound sliced through the air. It was a signal. Someone was coming. The hairs on the back of Ryan's neck stood up as he turned to look at the horizon. The clearing was eerily silent for a moment, but then the distinct whir of alien engines filled the air. Dozens of Zorathian ships appeared on the skyline, their dark shapes silhouetted against the stormy sky. Ryan cursed under his breath. It was a trap. The Zorathians hadn't been simply watching. They had been waiting. And now they had him exactly where they wanted him. The girl's eyes flashed with urgency. "They're coming for us," she said, "but I can stop them. I can give you the power to fight back." Ryan's mind raced. If she was telling the truth, she might be the only one who could stop the Zorathians, and perhaps even Tharol, before it was too late. But could he trust her? Could he trust anyone in this tangled web of lies and betrayal? As the Zorathian stepped closer, a grim smile playing at the edge of his lips, Ryan knew that the moment of decision had arrived. There was no more time to think. He had to act. But just as Ryan reached for his weapon, a voice crackled over his communicator, cutting through the tension like a knife. "Captain Jackson," the voice said, and Ryan's heart skipped a beat. It was a familiar voice, the voice of his second-in-command, Lieutenant Harper. "We've been compromised. It's not just the Zorathians. We have a traitor on board." Ryan froze. A traitor? The betrayal wasn't just happening on Zekaros. It was happening on his own ship. His mind exploded with questions. Who could it be? Who could he trust? "Captain, listen to me," Harper's voice continued urgently. "We have a spy. Someone on your crew is working for Tharol, or worse, for the Zorathians. You need to get back to the ship now. It's not safe." Ryan's blood ran cold. In that moment, everything he had thought he understood shattered into pieces. The girl's warning echoed in his mind, and he realized, with a sickening twist, that the test wasn't just about choosing sides. It was about survival in a world where no one could be trusted. The final choice. The air around them crackled with tension. The Zorathian's growl echoed in the clearing as Ryan locked eyes with the girl. Every moment of hesitation could mean the difference between life and death, not just for him, but for every being caught in the tangled web of Zakoro's politics. The stakes were impossibly high. The girl, Lyra, she had finally revealed her name, stepped closer to Ryan, her golden eyes radiating a quiet, almost serene power. "You do not have the luxury of time," she said, her voice steady, but carrying the weight of untold centuries. "The Zarethians will not wait. Thurl's forces are already on the move." Ryan's pulse quickened. He didn't fully understand the depth of the war she was talking about, but he could feel the urgency in her words. This wasn't just a personal test, it was the beginning of something much larger. "Then we don't have much time," Ryan said, clenching his fists. He looked toward the Zorathian, who was now advancing once again, his posture more menacing than before. "You need to tell me what to do. Where do I even begin?" Lyra's gaze flickered to the alien before returning to Ryan. "You must choose, Captain Jackson. Thurl has already made his move. He will offer you power, control of the Zakoro's system, perhaps more. In return, you will be forced to aid him in wiping out what little remains of my people, the Eldari. The Zorethians, they will try to stop you. They'll attempt to manipulate you too, but you, Captain, must decide who you will become." Ryan's stomach twisted. He had never been one for politics, for alliances and betrayals. But this was different. This wasn't about simple survival. It was about the future of an entire race, the legacy of forgotten civilization, and the future of his people. The Zorethian bared his teeth. "You still don't understand, do you? The Zorethians can offer you far more than Thurl. Power, resources, and endless influence across the galaxy. You can have it all. All you have to do is stand with us." Ryan's mind raced. He knew what the Zorethian was offering: tempting, dangerous power. It was the kind of power that could break civilizations, tear down whole systems, and make kings out of pawns. And yet, something in Ryan's gut told him that taking that path would be a mistake, a path that would lead to more suffering, more destruction. And then he thought about Lyra, her people, and the potential to rebuild a forgotten legacy. To restore what had been lost, to give the Eldari a chance to rise again, even if it meant fighting against impossible odds. Lyra's eyes softened with a quiet understanding, as though she had already known what Ryan would choose. "You have seen both sides now," she said, her voice low and calm. "The choice is yours." For a moment, Ryan stood there, torn between two futures. The weight of it all pressed down on him like an anchor dragging him into the abyss. But in the end, there was no choice. He couldn't turn away from what was right. He turned back to face the Zorethian, his jaws set with determination. "I choose to fight for those who have no voice. I choose to fight for the Eldari." The Zorethian's eyes flared with rage. "You are a fool," he spat. "You will regret this." Ryan's hand was already on his sidearm, but this time, his movement wasn't about fighting. It was about protecting. As the Zorethian lunged, the air around them seemed to shiver, and with one swift motion, Ryan raised his weapon not to fire, but to disable. The energy blast hit the Zorethian's chest, knocking him back. The alien stumbled, but managed to stay on his feet, snarling in fury. Lyra, standing by Ryan's side, raised her hand. A soft, radiant glow pulsed from her fingers, and the ground beneath their feet trembled as though the very earth recognized her power. The Zorethian's enraged growl was cut short as a force, unlike anything Ryan had ever seen, knocked him to the ground. Lyra's control was delicate but absolute. "Your power means nothing here," she said, her voice carrying a strange finality. "Go back to your master. Tell Thurl that the Eldari will not be forgotten." The Zorethian, humiliated and beaten, scrambled to his feet. With one last venomous look at Ryan and Lyra, he disappeared into the shadows of the jungle, leaving them alone in the clearing. Ryan let out a long breath, his heart still racing. He had made his choice, but the battle was far from over. "Thank you," Ryan said, turning to Lyra. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Lyra nodded, her golden eyes filled with a quiet strength. The real fight begins now, Captain. Together we can change the fate of this galaxy, but only if we stand united. Ryan looked at her, feeling a strange sense of peace despite the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for sure: this was just the beginning. Together, they would face whatever came next, and they would never back down.